Okay, someone wants. Okay, we are starting with, I'm kind of sick, so hence my manly sick voice. So Who Not How, did either of you guys get the book yet or not yet?
I got an Audible.
Okay,
I have Audible as well.
okay, perfect. So I typically do that, but I wanted to mark it and read it, so that's why it takes 10 times longer to do it this way for me and my brain. I keep getting interrupted. Okay, so the introduction is super lengthy. It's more lengthy than most introductions that I've read of most books. It's like almost longer than the first chapter, but it's very thorough. And I love that it talks about why he wrote the book, his intention about writing the book. And then the most unexpected thing was the fact that it's not even his concept at all, that he went to a course and was like, Dan, that thing's epic. Like that should be a book. And Dan's like, I'm not an author. Go for it. And how simple that can be, because he's like, I'm an author, and this message in the way that I see it needs to be out to tens of thousands of people. And then anybody that can afford to do your course should do the in-person, but this can reach the masses. Typically, if we are like a speaker or a course, we would probably think that we would need to write our own book because it's our own concept. So I love this concept that like you can teach even a concept and someone can grab a hold of it and you can allow somebody to take that and run with it. That was one of the things that stood out to me as something that is unexpected and is flipping the concept of typically how we have a dream and our first thing is like, how am I going to do it? Like, what are the steps I need? What is the course I'm supposed to take? The first story talks about Michael Jordan and talks about how he became so successful. One, he was very successful on his own, but he couldn't they weren't winning the games without certain key players, a specific coach, him having his own trainer to work on his own personal things, which is important for all of us. Like we have to work on our own personal things in addition to how we're leading teams and what we're doing in the world. And how when all of those things came together, they then um team-based won. There was another thing that I read like a couple years ago that talked about basketball too, and it said that they compared teams that it was Mel Robbins high five, if you guys have done that, but she said that the teams that literally high fived and cheered each other on were like 10 times more successful than the ones who like the players would come off the court and they'd be like, yeah, cool, man. Like the literal touching high five and that like inner support made everybody rise up. And so that reflected in this concept too is like you just take a different approach if you want your whole team to win and it's not about you and how much further you can go if it's your team and employing other people to help you get to your goal versus our first thought is like who can I train to work for me kind of right, or who would be a good fit for what I'm looking to do for my business, and who could I help reach their own dreams, but who is like kind of a good fit for my team too. So the first thing that I highlighted is what are you trying to accomplish? So that should be kind of the first thing. And so today you don't have to do what I'm doing, but I just did like a circle and I literally wrote Julia's future possibilities because that's like super vague. And the word possible means like literally a brain dump of anything and everything I've maybe wanted to do in the last 2 years and in the future. And I remember speaking to a coach and I was like, I just have so many things. And she's like, yeah, you can do them all. You just have to like phase it out. And I go, I know, but which one first? And she's like, well, you just decide. And I was like, how do I decide? She's like, you pray. And I'm like, oh. And she said that several of them can be combined. Like I wanted to speak, but somebody was like, well, you can speak using your photography. And I was like, no, I can't. Can I? And they're like, that's what the big squares, like the big, people do a slideshow. Why can't you show your images? And I was like, oh, because I've never thought of it like that. And that was somebody else taking my words of, I'm not sure how I could combine these things, and them saying, oh, that's actually so simple. And I was like, wow, it is. And that's employing a who, right? Not a how. I'm not like sitting in my desk being like, I can't figure it out because you're going to lose your mind. So I would encourage you guys to write down just like a circle and be like, what are the things that I want to accomplish in life? And just literally throw them all out. Because once you get them all out there, like in the immediate space, then you can start to look at them and be like, who do I know? Like I just wrote down today, this is random and this isn't even a business. I just wrote get better at cooking. like I want to learn more culinary skills. And Jan thinks that something could go crazy with the new election, and he's military. So I'm half, listening here. And so he's like, not like legit food storage for 50 years, but we should probably start slowly setting some things aside in case there's some civil unrest. And I said, that's a good idea. So what did I do, Sherry, today? Or it was yesterday.
Yeah, you're asking about canning.
Yeah. So then I went to my church group and I was like, does anyone know how to like can? Because I don't want just like canned vegetables. I want to learn to can a meal. Because somebody said you should mostly put food storage the foods you actually eat. So make a meal that you actually eat as a family, not like here's some grains and some peas. And you're like, and you're constipated, right? So you, we all know that too, right? I'm like, what do you do with like 17 pounds of red wheat? Like, so my friend said years ago, like can the stuff that you're going to eat. So I literally reached out, then I did a quick research, and then I messaged a lady in Southern Indiana that has done food storage for years. But we were in California now that we're here and we have a basement. I was like, okay, time to get into it. So I sent her a message too. Hey, you still do all the canning. Like, do you also can actual food? And what season do you do? And can I come watch and learn from you? And she's like, absolutely. It's usually this time in the summer. I'll let you know. So I'm like, great. So get better at cooking, but long term, who can help me with that? Not, I could spend 15 years buying cookbooks, going to the library, or like Sherry and I can get together and put out like 16 cans in a day of something. You know what I mean? And be like, whatever we're doing, let's just double it and stick it in all these jars. And there we have, 7 meals for our family, like done in one day. And so my first application of this was looking at that one thing and being like, what can I do about that today? And I'm just going to put some feelers out, like put it out to, the gods of who's out there. Just throw it out there and see what comes back. And that's something that you could do without being like, I didn't know Sherry would answer. I didn't know who would answer. Nobody else so far has answered. I'm still waiting. But it's the methodology of like putting it out there and asking to see what comes back. So first figure out what you're trying to accomplish. And the next couple of things that I highlighted is who can help me achieve this? And then how would your goals change if you could find people that could help you achieve everything you wanted in your life? If you had, how would your confidence change? I love that. If you had people producing the results with you, not for you, how would your time be spent if you were no longer the one doing everything? A year ago, I hired an assistant to do the things that I least like doing in my business, or that just keep tripping me up because it's just like the admin work. That's super important. But I just needed someone to like give it a little nudge, and then I could fill in the gaps with relationships and stuff. And that's been a huge gift. How would your income change if you could achieve all of your goals and not some of them? So I love that this book is just like, you tell yourself that you can do a couple things, but what if? What if like this whole circle of things that you put out suddenly is providing a stream of income here, 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 or just raising the quality of your life in these different aspects, making you feel more secure, giving you more joy. All of those are also value add. How would your sense of purpose expand if you had who's that made your goals easier to accomplish? How would the quality of your relationship change if you could invest more time and money into those relationships? Like, I love that part of my work offers retreats with time with relationships, and that a big goal. My friend Brooke, that she pretended to be, or you still are, it's fine. She introduced me to the business that I work with. But one of the things she said that flipped the mental thing on my end was, as you gain wealth, start hiring out the things that you will never like get to heaven and say, I wish I had done more of. And that was a huge concept to me, because at that time I had young kids. This is just like 5 or 6 years ago. And I would be like, okay, hire the babysitter and then I can catch up on the housework. She's like, no, you hire the babysitter to do the housework and you catch up with your kids. And I was like, whoa. She's like, you hire the babysitter to do your grocery shopping. You will never die and be like, I wish I had done more laundry. I wish I had done more grocery shopping. So she's like, hire that out, get a 13-year-old from church, get somebody to come do those things. And then you take your kids to the park. You go build your business. You go like do whatever that you will get to the end of your life and be like, I'm so glad that's where my time and effort went. And all those other things need to be done, but you could trade and flip it from having someone sit on the floor and play with your kids and you doing the laundry to the flip version of it, right? So I love that thought too. What if you had access to anyone you wanted to learn from or collaborate with? Like that's pretty impressive. So another random thing I did today was go to that website Masterclass. And then I just like took the quiz and I started browsing through all of their classes because you can do something. You can learn speaking through Masterclass. And it says if you do 1 to 2 hours a week, it's just like a couple weeks. And you, why does it do that? And you can learn something. So you can learn like advanced cooking, you can learn photography, you can learn speaking, you can learn business, you can learn so many things on there, from like business to personal development to fashion to home design. Like, what are those things in your life that you want to get better at? And they have a master class for that. Because I did look up like local things in Fishers, Indiana, and nothing was popping up. So then I'm like, oh, wait, there's the master class thing. And those are legit professionals that can educate you on different topics. So it says he helps the Dan guy, Dan Sullivan helps his entrepreneurs in his course clarify their unique ability, which are the activities that bring you the most excitement and energy and produce the biggest impact, and then find who's to take care of everything else. I really like that because what are the things that like if I hire out my admin work, someone else may love the admin work, but hate the relationship part. Like you have to think about what in your business or in your life provides you like the most like internal excitement and joy. And then everything else that's just like monotonous or mundane, it does have to be done. But how could you cast that off to somebody else? Maybe somebody like loves organizing, or your daughter loves organizing. You could be like, I will pay you $50 to organize my whole pantry. Or my daughter loves to organize my desk. And I'm like, I don't pay her anything. She's like, your desk needs cleaning. I'm like, yeah, it does. And she will get in here and organize it all and make it look pretty. And then I tweak a couple things and she's like so happy. And she's a who that gets something done that I could do, that I like doing, but I'm engaged in something else. It says the who concept simplifies entrepreneurship and financial abundance, and that leadership is creating and clarifying the vision and giving that vision greater context and importance for all the who's involved. And I loved the part where he talks about like those people are so excited to be a part of something. I think we've all been a part of like a course or a part of a speaking thing where the collective energy of what we're all contributing makes it like an even greater final thing, because we're all using our like natural superpowers, right? What else? I like the part where it said like you have to look for your who's, but in a lot of your, we talked about this at church on Sunday, you will be a who for somebody else. So make sure that whatever you're doing as you're reaching out to people, you're also open to when somebody says like, man, I struggle with this, that you say, well, I can help you with that, or I'm actually really good at that, or how can I help you? Or now when I meet speakers or something like that, I will just introduce myself and I'll say, if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know. And then they'll say, same here. And I'm like, ooh, really? Do you mean that? Because I'm gonna Facebook friend you and keep that in mind and write your name down. The Rudy guy in our last thing, we had a conversation after and I Facebook friended him, and today he said accept. And usually they want the follows, but like accept is if you've actually had a conversation that is meaningful, and in my mind. And so he hit accept, and he's a phenomenal speaker from South Africa and really, really incredible at what he's gone through in life and what he's overcome and how he helps people. And he is like a who person. So I love the quote by Ronald Reagan that says, there's no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit, which means as you grow as a leader, you use words like we are an incredible team. I couldn't have done this without everybody here. Like maybe I got the accolades, or I'm standing on the stage, or I'm the speaker, but it is because of our collaborative efforts that I am here. Let's see. Let's move on to chapter 2. I did like that it said, as you get better, so we're not even like getting there yet, but the premise is as you get better, you'll be able to create multiple games at once. And so that's kind of why I wrote all of this down, because according to his theory, the game that you play, which is your goals, will become increasingly bold, more profitable, and more successful. And you'll be grabbing more and more valuable pieces. And I've seen that with some of my friends, like the higher they go, the more they network, the bigger the pieces they're pulling in and the greater the impact. And that to me is a really incredible concept versus like, really scraping by with like, how, I need another course, I need another book, I need another something. And really eliminating the who's will keep you much smaller for a lot longer. And it will take 10 times as long to get to where you want to be. So chapter 1 talks about a lot about the who's, like who you're looking for. So the first story there talks about a boy who wanted to make money and he was looking at all the summer jobs. And then his dad said, who's an entrepreneur, said, or you can drive 2 hours, get all these wonky watermelons, which is interesting. Southern Indiana actually grows watermelons. Did you guys know that? In the sands? I think I've had one once, but there's like a Posey County watermelon. So I will, if I can find one, I will bring one home at some point. But he said, go get all the wonky ones that don't sell to stores, which I didn't even realize was the thing. I didn't realize the stores like Costco. I mean, obviously they all look nice and oval, but I didn't ever think there's like a non-oval pile. I just thought, wow, they grow really nice. But there's the discard section. And he was like, if they taste the same, bring them all home and you will sell them and you will make a massive profit in like a couple days. And he said, okay. So he went, he grabbed them all, advertised to everybody that he knew. I have fantastic watermelons. They're just a little bit different in shape. Here's your price. Come and get them. And he sold out of everything. And in like 1 week versus working the entire summer made a tremendous income because conceptually he used his dad. And I love that it said the dad was really proud of him and he was proud to mentor him and to help him and to create that vision. So they were like who's for each other. But how he took a simple concept from someone who had more experience and trusted him and applied it and then like quadrupled down on his income and then had all of this time the rest of his summer to do other things. Another example is somebody who created such an incredible thing that him and his wife take 3 months of vacation every year and travel. Like, does anyone here want to do that? That would be amazing. Another guy said that, or the example was that she created her business so that she just never thought about how she could do it. But when she started farming things out with people that were better at things than her, she got 3 months of time back and her mom was aging and she started going to every baseball game, major league game. Her mom was a big baseball fan and spent like 2 to 3 months every year doing that with her mom. And think about like the incredible memories that are made. And that is time. They talk a lot about time is so precious of the time we have here on earth, not to waste it. And so she created all of this because she started farming out stuff that she could have controlled and she had been for years, stressed out, tapped out, and started like releasing that, trading out some money and pulling in time. And then because that person was better at the job than her success also amplified. Do you guys have questions so far? Or like, did anything come up for you in the introduction or in chapter 1 that stood out?
I loved the chess reference. I don't know why, it just like made sense to my brain. It's like, oh, I have this board over here, but then when I start doing other stuff, I'm gonna have this board and I'm gonna have this board. And how do you not have who's if you have 3 chess boards, right? And that makes a
Right.
lot of sense because I'm going on like my 3rd business now. And I need a lot more pieces. So
You need
it
some
was,
who's.
yeah, I need a lot more who's over there. I also thought it was like so much surrender for him to let somebody else essentially write his book. Like the level of surrender that you have to be like, yeah, here's my concept and you write it. And how few of us have that ability to surrender that much of like, I
You
don't know.
really trusted him. And he
Yeah.
keeps saying, but I want to do it justice. And he's like, then do it.
Yeah. He's
Like,
just
do you
like,
have
let's do it.
advice for me? He's like, no, it's your book. You're the author. That's not my gift.
Yeah. It's not my strength and
Mm.
take it and run kind of thing. I just thought that was really powerful. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting concept just overall, instead of wasting your time with looking at how you can learn all these new skills that could further you, like why not partner with people? And I've seen that in my own life, just as I've grown my business and gotten help from other people. Like, why would I spin my wheels and try to figure everything out on my own instead of like hire a coach or talk to someone who's done it before? And most of the time, people are so willing to help you be when it is their area of expertise, like they want to help you because that's where they shine. And so people, like, one of the beliefs I like to hold is people are always willing to help me if I just ask.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever read the book. Oh, what is it called? The Third Door.
Mm-mm.
Fantastic book. He talks all about like there's the front door. Like if you're trying to get into a club, there's the front door and there's a method you have to get in. And then there's the back door and the bouncers are there and they're not going to let anyone in. But where's the third door and how do you get into there? And what are the hacks and where are the things there? And this guy talked about all about how he went out to find anyone to tell him no. Like he just asked unreasonable things of people for like an extended amount of time. And it was insane how many people just said yes just because he asked. Like he would ask for free things at stores. He would ask for like unreasonable things. I can't remember any of the other examples right now, but people more often than not would say yes just because he asked. So it was a good example to me of like, people are so willing to help if you just simply ask and put yourself out there instead of like sit back and wonder like, oh, I wonder if anyone will help me or there's no one to help me. Just being willing to put yourself out there and do the work of asking.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes with this quote here that says that people will work for you, not because they're beneath you, but because they believe in you, right? So if you're like, I really want this for this reason, they're like, I want to be a part of that, right? That's why I want to give you these tickets. That's why I want to give you this space. That's why I want to give you my time because I want to be a part of that thing that you believe in. It says you become an incredibly important who in their life, giving them a mission to be a part of, a way to provide for themselves and their families, and a way to build competence and confidence. The more people you are a who for, the more successful you will become. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. And then it talks about all the different things, like not just in your business, but what do you need who's for in your relationships? Who do you need who's for in your vision for your health? What about your vision for your family or other passions or hobbies, your environment? That's the one where I was like, I guess environment, that would be like your home, right? That would be your home. So like me with the food storage, or if you need someone to help decorate your office or your bedroom so it like feels more like you because you're struggling with design. Um, I had a friend just from church who was like, I just struggle. And I was like, well, I actually know a girl from California and she does that. She's like, oh, will you see if she can help me? And I was like, sure. Just because she asked. And she was like, I'm struggling. Are you good at that? Do you know anybody? Like just the simple, do you know anybody? Then people will be like, actually, I do, or I don't, but I'll keep an eye out for you. Right. And if I come into somebody, then I will connect you guys for sure. Um, do you have additional resources and efficacy in all areas of your life, or is your vision limited by what you can do on your own? Um, and then it talks about like the gym thing, like we talk a lot about in our health industry, like you can do it, you can do it alone, or you can do it with coaching and with accountability and with investing in more things, not just in products, but like investing in also like a gym, or investing in a meal plan, or investing in better quality food, right? So many people like want to change their health, but I'm on a budget with my food and my family eats this food. And so I have to eat it. There's a girl that I followed for years and she talked about, like all of us have, I think we're all out of baby phase in this group, but she was like, she's in the toddler phase and she's like held up the tray, from the baby food. And she's like, moms, how many of you eat this? She's like, how many of you are like, oh, they left that chicken nugget and then you put it in your mouth? She's like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to walk to the garbage can. You're going to dump it in because you are not a trash can. But like, how many of us have been in that phase where we're like, well, we don't want to waste it. And so we're not really treating ourselves as like the most valuable, and we're not willing to say, no, that's fine for them, but I am going to make this for myself and nutritiously like build this up because I am better than the trash can food or the leftover food that my kids didn't finish. And then it says you control your own level of commitment to your future, which means nobody else can do it for you but you, and you control your own level of potential for expansion, but you can't do any of those if you just sit and retain it all yourself. You have to like look at your list of all the things you want and just simply one, put it out there to the universe, or like literally take one of those things and throw it on Facebook like once a week. Hey, like I wrote speaker, author, nonprofit. I could literally go on Facebook and just write, hey, is anyone here own a nonprofit? Like it's actually, I think, more simple than we think, but we get so clouded with like all the things we might want to do that they just sit up here and swirl. And then we go to bed and then we take care of our kids and then they're swirling. But how could we just like pick one a week and throw it out there into the universe and just say, hey, does anyone have experience with this that could talk to me for like 30 minutes or an hour in the next week? And then like we could just report back here and be like, how did that go? Did that work? Did that not work? Was it like a nice conversation? Or was it actually helpful? Because I think we'll have a mix, right? There'll be people that are like, I was an author when I was 12, and you're like, oh, it's not really helpful, but I'll hear you out. Or um, again, I'm not even thumbs upping. I've done something before where balloons come out of the sky. Have you guys done that? When I'm
I
talking to
think if you
somebody,
like raise your hands,
maybe
I
it's
don't
that.
remember what it is.
There's like something,
there's
and then like the
something
party balloons come
celebration.
out, and you're like,
Yeah.
are we having a party? I was doing that with a leader in my company, and I'm like, very sorry. We just started laughing. So the question at the end is just like, are you willing? And I think we're all here because we're willing, and we're like, this is such a unique concept. Like, God, I'm willing. Like, okay, so what's next? Like, what's next in chapter 2? Like, how do we get started? So there's chapter takeaways, but I would say, and you guys can add if you want, like a great thing to do would be to do what I just said, which is to write down all the things like in the next 24 hours that you might want to do. And you can always add to it in the semi near future, in the next 5 to 10 years. And then just start throwing it out there in conversations you have with people. Even if it's like super random and you're like, hey, this is kind of random. You're going on a walk with a girlfriend. You're like, by chance, do you know anybody that has done either A, B, or C? And like throw out your top 3 things and just, if they're like, no, I don't, you're like, okay, cool. Or like a person that I don't know, like random people that you talk to, or call your parents, like, I don't know, throw it on social media and just see kind of what bounces back. And I think it would be a cool social experiment for us to do that. And then just go from there. And then we'll keep going and seeing what else happens. But at least we could start having those conversations and seeing that what we put out from our brain, like we've talked with God, and like, Satan can mess with what's up here, but the way that it needs to come into fruition is to get it out of your brain and like on paper and out loud verbally to manifest and to talk about the things that we really want in life. So what a better way than to start asking for help for those things? So I know it's 9 o'clock. Do you guys have any other thoughts as we end that first chapter?
I was
Okay.
excited to learn more like what the methods are and
Mhm.
what's suggested in the book.
Yeah. Like how to really find the who's,
Yeah.
and then how to, I think, have those conversations once you do find them to get them to be part of your vision.
Yeah. I think for me, it's really getting clear on like, what do I actually want in the next 10 years? Like, what are the things that I haven't yet thought up? Because I have a lot that I'm working on right now. So, like, I already am doing a lot. Like, and what's the next level of that? Like, where should my focus be, or where do I want my focus to be? Not should. Where do I want my focus to be?
Mm-hmm. What about you, Janet?
Yeah, like everything that you guys are saying. I need to finish up chapter 1 because I didn't quite get through it. But there's quite a few little pieces happening on my plate over summer. And so starting to think of the who that can support me with them, I think is going to be fun. So I'm excited to keep reading.
And I love, just to summarize, that it says like, as you shift, you'll evolve as a person. I think that's what we all want here, is like the personal growth and development. You'll have increased self-expansion, which will transform your identity. I think that's such a powerful statement, to be transformed with your identity, your perspectives, and your resources. And you'll have a growing freedom in all four key ways: time, money, relationships, and purpose. And from knowing you both, like, that's what we're looking for in our lives, is those four things. How we have an abundance and freedom in all of those things and truly make an impact, which again goes back to purpose. So I'm excited to read more. Okay, see you guys next week. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.